Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everybody. This is an essential conversation for anybody that works in a company. Uh, Even if you own a company, there's some relevance here. And it's all about the election as well, because it was a different climate prior to that. Now there's a different climate after post-election, and we're just about a week past. But we're going to talk about future proofing your position in your profession, making sure your value stays there. And again, that even applies if you have your own company and you work with others, even other businesses, making sure they're going to still work with you, and keeping your value level up there. A great part of that lies in the communication that you have, and we're going to talk about that and so much more. His name is Doug Redhale Pineda, and he's with a company that aces the communication aspect. Effective presentations is who they are. He's back with us. Hey, Doug, how you doing?
Hey, Steve, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you back here. A lot of uncertainty with the elections, and a lot of companies holding back money in terms of spending. A lot of yeah, a lot of nail biting there as well. People wondering, am I going to stay around in this company? Where's the starting point here in future proofing your position?
Yeah, this is going to be an incredible year coming up. We have an avalanche of technology with obviously artificial intelligence coming in. The we have numerous sources that were withholding funds for reinvesting into their company for training, for hiring new employees, et cetera. And so it is going to be such an interesting play to see how 2025 rolls out. And I think it's such a great topic to talk about. How do we future-proof or maybe even bulletproof our roles? We saw a lot of companies this last couple of years have gone through one, two rounds of layoffs. Sometimes a third round of layoff, kind of waiting to see politically what's going to happen, and not getting into politics necessarily, but just now that we're kind of through this and we have an idea of what's happening in the country. This next round of layoffs is coming around, as well as a lot of opportunity. When there's a lot of chaos, there's a lot of opportunity. So I think that we should be looking for that around as, when we have our roles, our jobs, responsibilities, and companies. I would say the first thing to bulletproofing or future-proofing our business is to become indispensable in any role you're in and be indispensable to the company. And what we typically look for, and when we're talking to our other corporations, our clients, is that we see number one is being consistent, being reliable. Being
Mm.
reliable in today's day and age is probably the number one thing that we see that companies are looking for in an employee.
Mm. Knowing that they can go to you and mask off, talk about a situation where there's no pushback and you're the one that's going to get it done. Might be some challenges there, but yeah, I totally get you. Where you're the go-to. Yeah, we got to get this fit. Doug, what do you think? Let's go. You
Yeah,
know, it plus as a an employee or team member feels good. It feels good to be the go-to.
yeah, it does feel good to be good. Be dispensable, indispensable, and the way we are indispensable is number one is being reliable because people can count on you, right? And I would say, number two, as being indispensable by being reliable is also just tie yourself closest to revenue as possible. In a for-profit company, that's the number one aspect that they're looking to do. That's the thing that makes a company sustainable. Makes the thing that makes the company valuable is their revenue. And so whatever tasks or projects or how your role is, because every role, no matter how administrative even it may seem, can be directly tied to revenue. And so make sure that when you find that link and then you represent your connection to that revenue generation with what you do, either how you generate it, how you support it, how you help transform it from a lead into a prospect or a prospect into a sale, and how you support that sale. So it doesn't always have to be directly in the sales process. Everything in the company usually is somehow directly tied to revenue generation. And so make sure that you are also are aligning yourself in that way. And you basically have a very clear understanding about how you directly support revenue generation and be able to talk about that and articulate that in meetings and emails and updates and all throughout your work process.
Hmm. Interesting. I'm seeing this. I believe it's all about mindset. Everything we do is about the mindset.
Mm,
But if you adopt that mindset, that it's almost as if you're a robot, and I hate using that term, but I'm programmed to generate revenue. And if you just keep thinking that and thinking that when you communicate, you're gonna go in that direction. You may not even know you're doing it, but
right.
you're gonna be focused on that. That sound
Yeah.
right?
That's exactly right, because you're having the same conversation that the people who are in charge of your role and responsibilities, keeping you around or promoting you. That's what their discussions are. And so you need to be having similar discussions. And
Hmm.
again, you're not trying to, be a money mogul or you're not trying to,
No.
be the number one salesperson. I think you just have a very clear understanding about how your role impacts revenue.
What about the communication aspect? Effective presentations, your
Yeah.
company is all about the communication. Are there some things we can do there to future proof our role in a company, up our value? I this is out of my wheelhouse. I'm trying to think of
Yeah,
how I would communicate that.
sure. So when we're talking about future-proofing yourself or making yourself bulletproof to these layoffs or anything like that, that could be, to destabilize yourself or your family for what you do, there's two parts. One is skills. So you can up your skill set or your communication, and you can up your communication. And so two parts of that I think that are really coming online is everybody has the opportunity with artificial intelligence. It's new to everybody. So it doesn't matter if you're a little technologically illiterate or you're a little bit slow to understand certain technologies. Everybody is at the same starting point right now. There's not too many people that are really too far ahead of where you think you may be. So, introduction or basics to artificial intelligence is something that will help you in your business, in your general life. Once you start to get into it and you get past kind of the conspiracy theory of all of the,
Hmm.
all the AI kind of talk, you're going to find value in AI and your role and your responsibility in your company. That's one that it's new, it's fresh, but everybody's at the same place right now. So start to
Hmm.
look into kind of introduction to AI.
Sure.
That's a skill set. Now, on the human side of things, the communication side of things, I would say one thing that companies are really looking into is emotional intelligence. Because emotional intelligence is kind of a broad term, but it covers a lot. For instance, um, a neighbor of mine years ago was a Google scientist. Well, he probably still is a Google scientist. But it was interesting because we were having a discussion. I said, so what type of things, like how does Google, I mean, some like the behemoth Google, right? The they're they affect so much of the world. What is Google for you leading hundreds of other engineers, right? Programming engineers, et cetera. You leading this huge, huge team. What is Google? How are they supporting you in your growth in the company? And he told me that he said the number one training that they're looking for him to do was in mindfulness. A bunch of programmers and engineers about mindfulness
Hmm.
because there and under that mindfulness, the umbrella for that was emotional intelligence. And it
Hmm.
affects everything. That ability for just emotional intelligence is it affects anxiety, it affects stress.
Yes.
So imagine if you have anxiety or stress at home. So if you have this broader skill set of communication underneath through the lens, or I should say emotional intelligence through the lens of communication, how much more better would that be? How to run highly effective meetings, right? We've all heard of the phrase death by meeting, right?
Hmm.
Things like that.
Hmm.
But how do you have the intelligence to operate to coordinate all these different personalities, these needs, these wants, these goals, these ambitions, these desires of all these different people on the team, projects and deadlines? The person that can be the maestro to all of those sections of how all of this collaborates and comes together, that's why we all have a tendency to um, have certain attitudes about meetings. Again, like I said, we learned about that term death by meeting.
Sure.
Same thing. Imagine everybody has a Monday morning meeting around the world, whether you're in sales or administration or whatever your perspective is. So how do you work with people? How does the tone come through in your emails? How does the empathy, the sympathy, the agency of other people come into play, in the workspace? And how does that coordinate with you? How it's this emotional intelligence that really has this the ability to improve your communication skills, strong interpersonal skills, active listening. They're just crucial in the workplace to prioritize, collaboration and leadership qualities. Emotional intelligence bleeds into leadership.
Yeah.
So if you kind of tie it all together, when you're communicating, you're talking about how the project or the whatever it is directly tied to revenue. And then you're doing that through the lens of communication, so you're able to get the most out of the collaboration with others. And then you're also displaying leadership qualities. So when we're talking about kind of future proofing or bulletproofing your role in a company, becoming indispensable, it's a little bit of everything added together.
Doug, I'm looking at those meetings and now through the emotional intelligence filter. Imagine if somebody harnessed the power of that and then had a meeting and it was through that filter of how the meeting went, how we expressed what our goals are, how to take all those different personalities and make them all mesh together in one 30-minute meeting. Like success. It's
Yeah,
success.
it really
Wow.
is. I mean, look at it. We're really looking to adapt to more and more diverse work environments than ever before.
Mm.
I mean, with increasingly larger scale for global teams, remote teams, um, cross-cultural issues that we have going on, virtual collaboration. These skills are essential to all of that, these abilities for emotional intelligence. So it's not so, kind of airy, or ethereal as most people think it is, or, it's really is. That's why they call them soft skills. A lot of companies will hire somebody with a degree or the background or the experience, right? And then they hire for them for the role. And the company itself has different pillars of how that company has been built and structured. But it's the in between. A lot of companies now, that's why they're developing, like they're understanding it's the in between of, okay, I got somebody who's highly skilled and I've got a company that's very successful. I'm going to put these two things together. But it's the people skills that it's really
Mm.
make the company. That's what greases the wheels.
Would you say that it would be very impactful for somebody hearing this, realizing that, that emotional intelligence is crucial, and to start seeking out learning that, whether it's through a coach, whether it's, an online class, studying it online, all of that.
Yes, and we actually have free um, phone consultations with our highest level trainers in our organization that can talk with anybody at your company, whether the C-suite level all the way down to anybody who's just individually looking to improve their skills, and just to even have a conversation with them. And yeah, to just have a conversation with them and kind of get a background on what they're looking to do to improve. And everything's on the board. We deal with the biggest companies on the planet
Mm.
and the most successful companies on the planet. So if we're the ones training their people. So come talk to us. Let us know. We can talk to you about whether it's running highly effective meetings or conflict resolution in the market, in the workplace, or public speaking and presentation skills, or how to create a highly effective presentation so you get those proposals that a company is looking for. We delve deep into the art and science of effective leadership, and yeah, including emotional intelligence in the workplace. So that's kind of what we do. We're the highest rated professional skills training company on the planet. So come talk with us. This is what we do, and we can really accelerate where your company's going for and really build a solid platform under
I,
these projects and intentions.
I have to say, eye opener today, Doug,
Yeah.
in that my view of effective presentations, the company, is just that. But it's more than that. It's really the tools you need to succeed with all the things around it, like emotional intelligence. I had no idea that your company also offered that kind of perspective.
We really are getting into some of these other skills, these mindfulness, these emotional intelligence, even the fresh stuff like introduction to artificial intelligence, things like that. So yes, this new
Mm.
era is also prompting us to make sure that we are right on the bleeding edge of it, and we're also leading it. We're creating this structure to where we think is some of the most, the professional outline and the blueprint for to help people in this next era. It is going to rapidly change, as we know, with all this new technology. 2025, we're going to see some of the fastest technological evolution in business than in the past 30, 40 years.
Wow. I don't know if this is possible, but I'm just curious.
Mhm.
In giving somebody a presentation, is there a way to use emotional intelligence in your approach? And is it possible even here to identify using that spin in something that we may be doing anyway, but just looking at it through a different lens? Would that even be possible?
It is possible, and really it just starts with understanding. You know, getting ourselves, just putting ourselves in somebody else's shoes. It almost starts with just even that basic element of,
Mm,
okay. And to put ourselves in somebody else's shoes, we really have to start to expand our knowledge. A lot of times we could become insular in our roles and responsibilities in the company, saying, I walk in the door, I sit down at my desk or whatever it is, my station, and you start to do your work. It's so putting yourself in your other coworkers' shoes of like, what are they working on? What are the intentions of their projects? What are the end results of, what are the desired outcomes of what the company is looking to do? And then really understand that company. The emotional intelligence is a lot of times you can ask a company. One of the things that I find interesting is you can ask somebody who works for, let's say, a larger company, and like, what's the vision of your company? They don't know.
mm,
What is
great point.
the vision is where's the company going? The mission is how are you going to get there? So the mission statements are really important. Like, can you name one mission statement? And most people they can't. They don't even understand where their own company is going. And you have to remember at the very top, that's what their role is. Their role is to look 3, 5, 7 years into the future. And then if you get to the next layer, then it's more like 3, 4, 5 months into the future. And if you get a next layer of management deeper, it's 3, 4, 5 weeks into the future, all the way down to the shift manager, which is what is the goal by the end of this shift? So every layer of management has a certain length of time that they're looking at on the horizon, whether it's years or whether it's 8 hours.
Wow.
And then so realize like how each one of those is tied to. Once you understand what they have to accomplish, then you have to understand, then you start to get an idea of like, oh, this is what their day looks like. This is what they're facing today. This is their pressures today. This is their anxiety. And then you know their outcomes. So basically just the idea of just understand what is everybody's goals.
The mission statement is it's so fundamental, but so important.
Yeah.
And I believe a lot of leaders, business owners take it for granted that the team knows. Yeah, they know what we're doing. We're making
Yeah.
widgets and we're selling them. No, it probably goes way deeper than that.
Yeah.
Mm, wow. Uh, in a couple of minutes that we have left, your company, Effective Presentations, what type of company would call upon you to help with their team's presentations? And of course, what type of, let's say you're a leader of a team and you just want to be better at leading your team. Um,
Absolutely. So 3 layers. One for corporations or large organizations, nonprofits included, 501(c)(3)s, everybody,
sure.
is that we have a plethora of soft skills, professional training skills that we can come where you can come to us and that we can train your team, your organization. We have what's called open enrollments. We go city by city and we have several cities going on at any given time. You can go onto our website. I'll give that in a moment, and you can kind of see. You don't have to be part of a corporation. Anybody can come. 8 to 15, 20 people in a room, depending on the type of training. And yeah, and we offer these presentations just live, one-on-one in cities all around the country.
Well,
And then we also do one-on-one trainings. So professional trainings, consultative coaching on all levels of skills management, leadership. And then we also do virtual trainings. So you can go onto our website, see the virtual trainings are available, and just sign up and take one of these just individually from your home or work or wherever, and get trained individually virtually. So
I,
we make it very accessible.
I find that, yes, and I find that the more I talk with you and your team at Effective Presentations, the more I learn that it's not one size fits all, but it can help pretty much
Right.
anybody. You could just say, I just want to communicate with my team better. Maybe using emotional intelligence, motivate them in a certain way by the words that I use. I mean, that just could be just one goal, but somebody comes to your company and just says, "This is what I'm looking to do." You probably can help them, right?
Absolutely. We're a communications company, and so we view these skills through the lens of communication. And then that's how we know that's our specialty. That's our worldwide, we're renowned for it. And so that's what we're best at. And that's, I think, why we're the highest rated is that we focus very clearly through that particular lens of communication, these particular issues.
Doug, final question today.
Mhm.
Go a little personal here. What is your favorite thing to teach or inspire through your role with Effective Presentations?
I think you nailed it right at the beginning of this our time together here, which is mindset.
Mm,
100%. It will always come down to mindset.
I I agree.
Yeah,
I don't want to agree, but that's everything. It's everything
it
you try
is.
to do in your personal life, your professional life. You could be working out at the gym and you're at a point where I can't do another set. And then take your mind. As that as an example, I will close my eyes and focus on something. Maybe it's the music and power through. And if I wasn't doing that, I mean, I just give up. Yeah, blow that set off. I can't do that. It's all here. It's all
Yeah,
here.
and it's interesting, Steve, like you just said that. It's and then people are gonna like, well, how do you train mindset? And it really just goes back to everything we talked about in today. Emotional intelligence, effective leadership,
Yeah.
public speaking, presentation skills. That mindset will get honed in and tightened up when you like learn the skills of public speaking, things like that. It's
Sure.
inside of that to where you're like your mind will just get sharper and more focused and more understanding and more pliable, right? And just more right, we're never too old to learn, and you'll just continue to learn more and more. So
Yeah.
just continual education for yourself.
Well, the proof is in the numbers, and more people are open to what we're talking about. And here it is. The number one course offering at this time in any line of work. This is by far, somebody picks a college course, number one, and it's the first time it's been number one, psychology.
Ah,
Psychology. People and I regret when I was younger, I blew that off. Like, I don't need that. I am so interested in the way that works. The mind.
yeah.
Yeah. As always, Doug, always great having you here. If somebody wants to start the conversation to change in terms of their communication and more, just go there. Effectivepresentations.com. If they want to reach out to you personally, what's the best way?
Yep. Office number is 1-800-403-6598 at 1-800-403-6598. You call that, you'll be able to reach anybody in the organizations, including myself.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here today.
Steve, pleasure. Thanks for having me again. Take care.
We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.